Hey, Mary, how are you?
Doing well. How are you?
I'm very good. Sorry, everybody, we're a bit late on schedule, but we're here and we are very happy to be with you today. Very happy as well to have you on this webinar, Mary. Mary, whatever.
Yeah, the
Is it
French
with
or American
French accent
pronunciation.
or... Okay. No, I'm very glad to have you because you have a great experience in scaled customer success. And I guess we are all going to learn a lot today, listening to your experience and advice. So thanks for being with us. I'm just gonna let you introduce yourself like in 2 seconds. Just before that, just a quick introduction of myself. I'm Ben. I'm the CEO, co-founder at Melting Spot. And Melting Spot is a customer education platform. So we help SaaS companies, B2B SaaS mainly, build in-app academies to basically reduce onboarding costs, accelerate adoption, and automate CS processes. Your turn now, Mary. Who are you?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. My name is Marie Lunney. I am currently the Director of Scaled Customer Experience at Binder. I've been growing my career in B2B SaaS for almost 10 years now and really specialized in scaled customer experience or scaled customer success, digital customer success, whatever flavor term you want to use. Now going on 5 years. It's my happy place and definitely my passion.
Okay, great. So you started in digital CS, or like you turned from standard CS to digital like a couple of years ago?
Yeah, my background actually has been across operations, customer success, and marketing. And then I was presented with my first scaled customer success opportunity under the title post-sale product marketing.
Okay.
And it's really where I started to blend those three domains, so operations, marketing, and customer success. And that is scaled customer success, in my opinion. You have to have a flavor of each of those to be successful.
Okay. So maybe let's start with that. What's your definition of this digital customer success or scale CS or scale
Yeah.
CS, well, whatever?
So DCS to me is a strategy for blending different functions. I mentioned a few of them to really optimize the customer journey through operations, technology, and direct to customer programs. Um, Ultimately, it's really the answer to higher profit margins without sacrificing employee or customer satisfaction. I think that's a key piece. Is it can improve both internal and external facing experiences.
Okay. Who or for what type of company is it made for? Like, is it for companies willing to reduce costs only, or like, is it for modern teams, or what do you think?
I think it's for anyone. I really do. I think we're seeing more and more new companies who are trying to grow through PLG motions. They're in the startup bootstrapping phase, and they might couple that with a scaled or digital customer success approach. We also see very established companies now saying, okay, we've been running customer success programs for decades now, and we want to evolve and improve our efficiencies and improve our customer experience.
So, because I've heard about the last couple of months or even years that digital CS was really for large companies, scale-ups. According to you, it can also be very interesting for startups in the early days, right?
Definitely.
Okay.
So I would say I always think of a graph, and hiring a CSM is going to get you immediate value. Yes, you have to put some training in them and train them on the product. But that value plateaus and eventually disappears when they leave your company, versus a digital customer success program might give you value at a later stage. It takes longer to build, but then that value is exponential and grows as your customer base grows.
Okay.
So
why does it take more time to build such a strategy?
Yeah. It takes time to build content. It takes time to build the operations and engines to deliver that content to your users. And then it takes time to improve and iterate and perfect that. So you really can't have a scaled customer success program without the foundations of content. How are you going to, self-serve your customers if you have nothing to point them to?
And that's probably the reason why small startups, bootstrap startups, are a bit scared by
Yeah.
this kind of DCS.
Yeah.
Well, how much time does it take to build the first content you need to populate your academy or your?
It depends how complex your product is, how complex your customer journey is.
But what is the minimum viable content you need? Like an online course, a couple of help desk articles? What is it exactly?
Yeah, so I would say at a minimum, it would be more so like knowledge-based articles, more how-tos. Of course, you're also implementing the why. So, and then email would probably be the engine that you're delivering that. So inbound would be, I'm a customer looking to get this answer. I'm going to go to the knowledge base and get it answered. And outbound would be the email that's pushing this knowledge base article to a user and saying, hey, you're a new user, start here with this article. And then drip feed supporting documents going from there.
Okay, very interesting. And what is the expected return on investment once you've created this content, you've launched your DCS strategy? What do you expect, or what can you expect from such a strategy?
That's a great question. I think it depends on which channels you're in. To give some like specifics or flavor, when I launched a university program at my last company, we estimated that it was worth $2 million in value in terms of the self-service education resources that it was providing and supplementing that one-on-one education from a CSM.
Okay. Any figures regarding the onboarding time? Like, are you going to be able to onboard customers faster, for example, as well? And how much?
Depends on your product. It's all. If you're catching a theme, there's a lot of dependency, which is why I love this space, because it's a lot of. There's not a one size fits all, and it's a lot of strategic problem solving. But yes, definitely, you can facilitate faster, more streamlined, more enjoyable customer experience through sending those digital outreach touch points, having even a in-app onboarding checklist, or maybe you're doing it through a customer education portal where you have those step lists. There's a lot of different means to being able to facilitate a more scaled onboarding experience. But you're always going to get customers who maybe don't prefer that onboarding experience. You're going to get the people who want to totally self-serve, and we've seen through data that a majority of them are those customers. I think it's 64% was the last figure I saw from Zendesk report, that people would prefer to self-serve. But those additional customers are going to choose to still utilize a human approach. And that's only if you allow them a human. That's a choice that you have to make as well.
Okay, great. Is there a specific moment in the history of a company when it becomes compulsory to turn or to switch from standard customer success to digital customer success?
No, I think we saw a huge wave and still are seeing a huge wave. I would say pooled scaled customer success started becoming more popular around 7 years ago. And those were the early adopters, I should say. And then around 5 years ago, that became more of the norm, and a fully tech touch or digital customer success motion started to become popular. And we saw a huge wave about 2 years ago as venture capitalists changed the game and said, you know, growth is no longer the prerogative, it's profitability. And now we're seeing a huge investment in digital and scaled approaches to be able to become profitable.
Okay. And apart from SaaS companies, are there any other types of companies which should be interested in digital CS, like professional
Ooh.
services?
I think it's a huge motion that it came really from the B2C companies.
Okay.
The Netflix, the Amazon, they've been doing this motion for years. And now it's only entered. How do we give our customers, our users, that same Netflix, Amazon experience in
Mm,
the B2B world? I think that's easier to achieve when it is your customers are used to interacting with a software and used to getting questions answered through customer resource centers. I think it might be more challenging if it was like I'm imagining like a manufacturing company. Your users are inherently different,
mm.
um, and I think you have to always meet your users where they are. So those users might be used to going to the office board and seeing what's new and what they need to take control over.
Okay, excellent. Um, I know that you had a great experience at well, let's name the company WalkMe. And the first time we discussed together, we talked together. You said to me that product was very involved in that kind of implementation or in that kind of strategy. In the end, who owns the decision to implement DCS in a SaaS, and how much product is involved?
Yeah, so it's a theme that I hear a lot from people, is, who should own what. I wrote an article on my LinkedIn that you can check out, about this topic, because it's when people are starting a digital customer success program or scaled customer success program, oftentimes they meet resistance from other departments like marketing or operations or product, and hear like, well, we should be owning the customer communications, or we should be owning the in-app education.
Mm,
um, and to that, I always ask, well, what's on your plate? What are you able to achieve at the moment? Yeah, it might be something that you want to achieve, but the resource now exists in customer success, for example. How can we, help each other accomplish what we want? So for the instance of marketing, the work that I do in digital customer success is going to ensure that your contact data is up to date and usable. And it's also, if I drive adoption campaigns, it's going to lead to expansion. So it's always kind of reframing the what's in it for you, and rather than trying to, fight over who should be owning what. I think the in-app piece is really interesting
mm,
because product people, they're building the product. They want to own the product, especially UX. They want to make sure anything that's in the product, if you use any kind of tools like a WalkMe, that it looks native to the user experience.
mm,
Um, and again, I think the thought is how can we collaborate on that, and how can we also prevent, how do we make sure that our customers are getting this experience sooner rather than waiting until they have time, which if sorry if there's anyone on
yes,
product, I think
yes.
this isn't gonna come as a shock, but, product is always focused on building the next best thing and also fixing bugs and reliability of the tool. So they're almost never going to get to the, like, building customer education piece of it.
Okay.
And if you are, I wanna work at your company next.
Okay. We'll get back to this experience topic just after this other question I have. What is the minimum viable stack according to you to deliver a proper digital CS experience?
Yeah, so this probably goes hand in hand with you asked the question earlier of like what's kind of a minimum uh, type of content. So the first is a place to store all your account data and contacts. So that's usually a CRM. Sometimes it's a CSP. The next would be a tool to collect your product engagement. So product analytics tools, Pendo, Heap, Mixpanel. Next would be a place to orchestrate your email journeys. So that also could be a CSP. It could also be a marketing um, operations tool. And then a place to house that content for the content that you do create for customers. That's customer resource hub, a knowledge base, video hub. You need to be able to have the content creation tools to be able to create that content. So depending on what type of content you want to create, that's video tools, guide, like click step guides, some kind of article repository, webinar tool. Um, I know Intercom does a lot of these things. So I definitely would be a tool that I would recommend for like a bootstrapping startup. But while it has that breadth of use cases, it really lacks the depth and complexity. So if you're at a larger company and can afford it, or you're kind of ready for that next stage, I would definitely recommend a more integrated and specialized tech stack.
Okay. What about LMS? You're not talking about LMS, but each time I discuss this education or onboarding topics with customer success teams, they keep talking about LMS, customer LMS. What is it about?
Yeah.
Like,
So you asked for minimal. So I think that's definitely a natural progression is as you build out the content for your company, then you would use those content blocks to build learning pathways and certifications that would be housed in an LMS.
hmm,
And then another progression is into community where you are getting user generated content for user driven best practices.
hmm. And if you had to choose only one type of format to onboard, for example, new customers,
Mm.
which one would you pick up? Webinars, courses, help desk article? What's the best format, the most engaging format according to you?
Well, courses is kind of
Just one.
cheating because it's like a multi-format. um,
True. Yeah.
hmm, honestly, maybe it's biased because of my, experience at WalkMe, but I would say
Enough
in-app
guidance.
in-app guidance.
Okay, so really product tours and checklists inside the product.
Yeah. Meet the customer where they are. If they want to learn about their products,
Keep them focused on your
or their
product. Yeah.
product.
Okay, great. So now let's focus a little bit on this experience we were talking about earlier. What is a great onboarding experience according to you? What kind of workflow have you seen in your previous experiences that really work?
Yeah. Um, a few things pop to mind. So, a step list is one thing, but actually being able to monitor if that person is accomplishing the task and not requiring them to check the box, I think is huge. I know there's a tool if you use HubSpot. Um, it's called Arrows. They have it's not arrows.com, it's like arrows.io or something like that. I can't remember which ending they use. But they are a customer onboarding tool that you integrate with your product data, so it automatically will check if the customer is doing that action or not. And that really improves the customer experience and also improves your accuracy for if you're going to send any reminders and facilitate that onboarding experience. I think the other thing that came to mind is a challenge that I think all businesses face is capturing the customer's use case and desired milestones, and how do they plan on measuring success, capturing that in the sales cycle and reusing that throughout the customer journey, including onboarding. So you kick off the onboarding by reiterating in that. The manual kind of old school CS way of doing it is you have an internal handoff between sales and CS, and then when the kickoff with the customer happens, you reiterate, hey, this is what I heard from sales. Is that true? The scaled way of doing that is through collecting that in your CRM from the salesperson and then surfacing it through whether it's a survey via type form or through that customer onboarding hub. I know ever after you can surface, different different fields from your CRM. So you can quite literally say like, welcome, we know that your use case is this, and you bought our software to do that, and you have to be live by this date. And that just really makes the customer feel heard and seen and excited to dive in.
Okay, that's great. And you've done that in the past, or?
I've implemented the iterations to get there. I've yet to realize the full picture, but excited to do that at Binder.
Okay, excellent. We have another like 5 minutes. We're going to be a bit late as well on schedule at the end of this webinar, but we started a bit late. Sorry for that. If you have any questions, guys, I haven't said it at the beginning, but you can just push your questions wherever you are, because we are streaming on different platforms today. So if you're on LinkedIn or Melting Spot or wherever you are, just push your questions and we will get them. So happy to answer your questions. Let's focus like 2 minutes, 3 minutes on customer education. That's also a word that we hear a lot in the CS world at the moment. And it's very linked to digital CS, according to me. What's your perception of this customer education thing, and what does it really mean to you?
I definitely think it's linked. Yeah, it goes back to those. So if I think of like the three foundational pieces for scaled customer success, it's data, operations, and content. And within that content piece lives customer education. So customer education is creating the content to be able to facilitate the customer journey. And yeah, that's what it means. That's what it means to me.
Yeah, okay. No, it's really under this content pillar you're talking about. Okay. And where is it very important, according to you, in the customer journey? Is it at the very beginning that you need to educate your customer, like in the first 10 days, for example, after sign up? Or is it really once the customer has been onboarded and properly onboarded that you can really start educating him more in depth, and it's going to take like months or even years to get the customer fully educated to the product, to the market? When would you really put some pressure on customer education, at the beginning or a bit later on in the process?
Again, I think that really depends on your product setup. So I'll speak to Binder. We have a very complex product and very hands-on onboarding to make sure that our customers feel supported and their instance is set up correctly. When they come out of onboarding, they they have to do a lot of kind of the ownership of uploading their assets and adding their users. So they're trained on that during onboarding through an onboarding manager, but we then facilitate additional guidance once they are done with onboarding to make sure that when they actually have to put that in place and do that work, that they get the resources that they need or the education that they need at that point. So in this instance, it's just different channels where that customer education is happening throughout their customer journey. The content piece is a heavier push once they come out of onboarding. But if we look at a previous company that I worked for at Chili Piper, which is a much more simple product, we did a lot of education during onboarding at the very beginning of the experience. And the education that came later in the customer journey was more about like, okay, you're using all the basics. Here's the advanced things. Like, here's the really cool API stuff that you can do. So I think if I had to summarize it, the education, there's a steady drip the customer, and even more so, you should be monitoring if that's making the impact that you want or not. Are they actually engaging with the content through click-through rates, views if it's a video, but more importantly, are they actually like clicking on the feature and using the feature that you're educating them on?
Okay. I have one question for you. It's about help desk. We all know that, or when talking about customer education, we all know it's important to kind of personalize journeys and processes, make sure that we push the right content to the right person. So you probably don't educate the same way with the same content. Two different users, one that has been who signed up 2 days ago, and another one who's been using your tool for the last 4 years, for example.
Mm-hmm.
But a help desk is very static. So basically, it's always the same article for all the users. So, for example, if you are presenting a new feature, you're going to be presenting this feature the same to the two users I was talking about. Is that a problem? And do you know any way to personalize educational content to make sure that it really, it has to be personalized, for example, by language, by market, but also probably by kind of maturity of the user? What do you think of that?
Yes.
How do you personalize the content and the
you asked, is it a problem? I don't think it's a problem, but it can be optimized. So, by all means, you should build what you can with what you have. And that already building those self-service materials, even if they're not personalized, is going to deflect some tickets or questions. Only further personalizing it is only going to improve the ticket deflection. Okay. So how do you actually do that? Like anything, there's incremental steps. Kind of crawl phase is just by sheer organization of your help desk. How do you segment things by maybe it's user role, or maybe it's by products that they purchased. You could even do it by stage. There's oftentimes like the getting started section. Within the article itself, you can also further, have, are you an admin? Click here, and it auto scrolls to the section of the article that they need to be aware of. The run, I would say the walk approach is there's really cool things in AI search and also the AI chatbots. Ada, for example, you can integrate, product data. So if they notice that something happened in product, they know that the admin reaching out via the chatbot is probably asking about that and proactively offer the solution. That also requires SSO. So once you have that SSO integrated into your hub, you can start to customize the dynamics. This is really where you start to treat your customer resource hub or help desk or whatever you want to call it as a website. You're like, using a lot of SEO optimization. You're using a lot of heat mapping and improving the UX UI. You're maybe implementing tools like Can Do to dynamically change the UI based off of that SSO data, where they are in their customer journey, what type of user they are. And you can get really sophisticated with that. That's definitely the experience that I'm looking forward to building.
Okay, excellent. The future of this user experience. One last question, and we will have to stop there. Do you have any benchmarks, like champions, you could give us in terms of best practices and digital CS?
Two that come off the top of, or three, I should say, that come off the top of my head. And this is more so from the customer resource side. I can't necessarily speak to their digital customer journeys. One is Gong. I know you.
Yeah, niche.
Their customer resource hub is super customized, but it's also built on Insighted, which is now part of Gainsight. So it's achievable, I think, for a lot of people. And it's that federated, centralized customer resource center that I think it's also just beautifully designed and engaging. I really admire Miro for their in-app education. I think they do a really good job at bringing that in-app and keeping a customer in-app. And then Qualitrix is a third that it's difficult to experience it yourself, but they do advertise it, which I think is really cool, of their customer resource center, how it's the one-stop shop for your contract data and your how-tos and your who's your point of contacts. And I think that's really cool that they've built just one center, and it's completely homegrown. So that's the I've talked to Carrie, who leads the team, and I'm very jealous of her setup and her team. But it's amazing to see that even exists in our world, and that's, I think, what we can all achieve and strive towards.
Excellent. Thanks for that. Thanks for sharing all this information. Any European startups you would benchmark as well, or we should benchmark as well? Out from Binder?
None that come to mind at the moment, but I'm always open.
It's not a big surprise, actually, because do you think Europe is a bit late compared to the US on this topic, on DCS and customer?
I do. I think it's because of a few different things. I think part of it is, three different things. One is access to venture capital. I think, BC and Silicon Valley, that's kind of the heart of innovation, and it radiates outwards. I think part of it is culturally. I think there's a huge culture of relationships over efficiencies, and both from a business side of making those decisions and also from a customer side and what they expect. And I would say the third is related to that. There's a huge culture of consultancy in Europe. And I think that again, the expectations of treating customer success and customer experience like a consultative experience, which I think can be digitized, but maybe the mindset is a little bit different.
It's harder.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Mary. We'll have to stop there, but that was very interesting. If anybody has a question, I guess you can be reached on LinkedIn.
Yeah, I'm on LinkedIn, and thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks a lot. We will probably invite you another time to keep discussing this very interesting topic. Have a very good day, everybody, and have a good evening, Mary, as well. Thanks.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
See you very soon.